Election day is over. It's the one day for the public to have their say in the running of the country, and it's already come to a close.
Yes, the British public have voted, and we're here at Saltaire Sports Centre to bring you the results from the Lancaster and Fleetwood and Morecambe and Lunesdale constituencies.
Now, right behind us, volunteers are sifting as fast as they can through over 100,000 ballot papers from both constituencies.
It's going to be the early hours of the morning before we know the results, and it's going to be a very long night for all of us here. We're going to be talking to some of the candidates to see how they feel of their chances and to see how students affect the vote in our local area.
We'll also be looking at some of the newspapers to see what they've had to say about the election, and of course bring you the all-important results from the count tonight.
Yep, so stay tuned for Good Morning Lancaster, the general election special.
The 333 campaign was all about informing students what happened at the last election in Lancaster and Fleetwood. 333 votes decided the outcome of the election. This is a marginal constituency. The student voice really is heard here. So every student hopefully should get out and vote if they've registered to vote. It's particularly important students vote because time after time we see in all the parties' policies that the voice of young people is sidelined because we don't vote en masse. So the more students vote, the louder our voice is nationally, and that's why students should get out and vote. So alongside these elections, we're also having the local elections, which have largely been sidelined because of the big national debates going on. But it's also really important that students engage with local politics. The people we elect onto the local council will be taking lots of decisions that affect us on a daily basis. My favourite thing about the general election is it gets students talking about the big issues, both nationally and locally. There's been lots of great debates on campus. The Politics Society has been really active and organised lots of general election debates, and we held one in the town hall as well with the University of Cumbria. And it's great to hear students really talking about the big issues, knowing that on general election day they have a choice with which direction they'd like to see the country going.
It must be a relief for the candidates to see that the weeks of campaigning is finally over, and pictures of the party leaders on the campaigning trail for the final day featured heavily in today's newspapers.
They did. We're first going to take a look at The Guardian, who generally, they're known for being a rather left-wing paper, aren't they? But today, they're rather vanilla, wouldn't you say? If you look at the front page,
there's a lot of statistics there.
It couldn't be closer. They don't call it out, do they? No. Straight away. They don't, unlike other papers say who to vote for from the very beginning.
There's a great photo there of David Cameron and Ed Miliband facing off against each other with some particularly unattractive faces. I'm going to say that's not going to impress any of Miliband's teenage female fans that he's gained recently with that photo, is it?
Nor David Cameron's.
No.
If they're trying to get people to elect, it's not the most flattering way to do it.
A bit of a different one here. I've got the Telegraph in front of me here, and this is actually a picture that was taken in Lancaster of David Cameron and his wife leaving a show home to help to buy development that they visited in Lancaster.
It was the day before the election, wasn't he?
Yep, that shows you how important Lancaster is seen as a marginal constituency, and it's been quite a high-profile constituency. There's been reports in the local press, the local news, and on the national news about Lancaster because it is such a close margin here, and it could swing either way.
Paired with Morecambe and Lunesdale as well, that's also known as a very marginal seat. And I think it's interesting to get an involvement from the area as well. I think people really do feel that they kind of need to vote, don't you think?
Yes, I think if the Tories are going to come out on top, they really need to be retaining seats in this area, these marginal seats.
Yeah.
But if they don't, I think the Daily Mirror might be happy.
Yes, I think it would, because today it was to be expected, but it's send 'em packing with a picture of David Cameron and George Osborne. Now, if you look inside, it's quite interesting. You can see, let's make today the dawn of a fairer, better Britain, with a kind of inspirational pose there from Ed Miliband.
Yes, if there was going to be a marble statue of Ed Miliband put in Trafalgar Square or somewhere, that's the pose, isn't it? Yeah, if a Renaissance artist was looking for a picture to base their sculpture on, it would be that one.
I mean, it can't be any clearer than American. It goes on to say, don't trust the Tories, and it outlines 50 broken pledges. It's a huge kind of effort towards almost deterring any Tory vote, wouldn't you say?
Yes, they're not. Let's say the biggest fans of either the
No.
coalition or of the Tory party, but they've nailed their colours to the mast, and they're certainly not holding back. Another one that isn't holding back is the Sun. Now, it was in the news earlier this month, in fact, sorry, end of last month, when the Sun came out in favour of one party and their sister paper.
Yes.
Scottish Sun came out in favour of the SNP versus the Tories, which is quite interesting, and they were saying it shows the editorial differences between them. But the Sun goes with a nice pun on the front with a massive pair of hands with a red ball and a blue ball and a nice well hung there. We've both predicting 34% for the Tories and Labour, which is one of many of the polls that have narrowed in the last couple of days, and it says make sure you vote today to stop Labour ballsing up Britain. Another one that's not exactly being subtle about it.
I think The Sun is always one of those papers that you want to see the headline on a big day like this. You always just want to see the front page for the entertainment value that it brings.
I was talking to a friend of mine who wants to go into journalism, and he said, I don't really want to go and write for The Sun because I won't get taken seriously by other journalists, but it would be tremendous fun thinking up those headlines.
No,
and I think that's,
must.
if you want to write witty headlines, The Sun is the place to
And
go.
they do not hold back, do they?
No, there's a lot of stuff in here covering all the parties actually, and showing, there's an interesting map of showing where on the last sort of days the party leaders have been going. It nicknamed the Miles High Club. I don't quite think that's what any of the party leaders meant, but they have travelled the country.
And if you look at the way they view David Cameron, 24 hours to save the nation. And on the other hand, you've got Ed Miliband, deal denied.
And the best one yet, Nick Clegg, we're not dead yet, as if he's some Monty Python character.
It is more or less a satire, really, isn't it?
It is.
The way they present it.
And it provides a bit of fun with this. What have you got left there then?
I've got the Daily Express here. Now, they had a really interesting front cover. You've got Nigel Farage there. Vote to keep Britain great. I mean, there's talks about him resigning if he doesn't get elected in his constituency, which is a really interesting kind of view. Now, I think it's very different for the Daily Express to be running with UKIP on the front page. It's something that none of the other papers have really done, have they?
No, it's an interesting choice. Let's face it, Nigel Farage, no matter how well this election goes for UKIP, is not going to be the next Prime Minister.
No. No, which is why I think it outlines that it's kind of a daring front cover to put.
I think many people would be shocked if he was even in the cabinet, to be honest. So that's a very interesting one.
You just have to wait and see. I
yeah,
suppose.
a nice puppet picture there as well, isn't there?
You can see Nicola Sturgeon pulling at the strings. You know, always Ed Miliband's puppet master. Which is, something that we've seen before. I know across social media, it's something that's been shared.
All of the right-wing press have been showing this image of Nicola Sturgeon pulling the strings behind a Labour government as one of the images.
And just underneath, they've got the almost kind of cringy picture of Ed Miliband as back in his university day, I think. Kind of very posh.
Yes, it's not exactly like that one we saw a minute ago, even looking inspirational, is it?
The Harman left squirming. They're not exactly painting the best picture for Labour there, are they?
No, it's not great there. I've just got the Lancaster Guardian left, which is a local paper, and it's really interesting because it says vote David Morris today on the front of it. But if you turn inside a couple of pages, you see an open letter from the editor saying this paper does not support any political party, and it turns out that the Conservative Party have paid for that advert on the front page, which looks very much like it's come from the paper, which shows you just how much effort and money the Conservatives are putting into these
And it
constituencies.
was a very, very big disclaimer there, wasn't it, to say that they really don't support any political party, considering that when you pick up the paper, directly you think they must vote, or, support the Conservatives. It's there right at the bottom, in big. And for a regional, a local paper, it's just a different take, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also very interesting that that's the only elections thing. There's a side banner which just says "Who wins, you decide." The main story is actually about the Lusitania anniversary and one of the families who have a connection to that and memories of sinking of the Lusitania. So it's nothing even to do with the election, which is very interesting.
Choice, really, of front
Yes.
page.
Yeah, I mean the Lusitania anniversary has been all over the media, but it's very much been relegated because of the general election.
Yeah, and then inside it goes on to show all of the candidates for both Lancaster and Fleetwood and Morecambe and Loonsdale. And I think it's quite a good
Biography of each candidate.
explanation of all their policies and what they're all driven to do, and it sets it out in a very non-biased way, you could say, unlike their front page.
Yes. Talking of the Morecambe and Loonsdale election candidates, you went to speak to one of those the other day, didn't you?
I did. In fact, I spoke to David Morris, and he had a celebrity appearance there. Lembit Opik was up.
Yep, not exactly an A-list celebrity, but a very interesting one nonetheless, not least because he used to be an MP himself.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. It's a bit of an odd situation because he used to be a Liberal Democrat. So
yeah, that's embodying the coalition is probably the best way to say that, but let's take a look at what he was saying.
Go.
hi, I'm here with Lembit Opik and David Morris, Conservative candidate for Morecambe and Loonsdale. Lembit, what are you doing up here today?
That's a bit direct. I'm the Director of Communications and Public Affairs for the Motorcycle Action Group. That's Britain's foremost riders' rights organisation. And David has been absolutely superb with us in supporting riders' rights. There are about 3,000 riders active in this constituency. And without taking a party political line, we hope they know that David Morris is a great advocate for them.
No, you did used to be an MP, didn't you? So is it nice to be up here supporting another?
It's great. I know what David must be going through. It's so stressful being a candidate. And in that sense, I guess I'm happy to be in a position where I can support people who really are valuable, in this case, to motorcyclists. And not just that, but I don't think I'm sharing any secrets when I say David has been one of the most successful people anywhere in Parliament in getting results for his constituency, and part of that is for biking.
But it does seem a bit odd because you used to represent the Liberal Democrats.
I thought you might ask me that. Well, I'm still a member of the Lib Dems, but that doesn't stop me from recognising quality when I see it. Now, frankly, if Lib Dem motorcyclists want to vote for David, that's really sensible. I don't really care these days what a person's party affiliation is. They should vote for the best people. And I can tell you, from the evidence, from what I've seen David Morris do for example, transport and bikers in the House of Commons, he gets the stamp of approval from us.
Okay, and David, how's it all going? Are you feeling ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty upbeat and confident about things. Never count chickens in my game. But I'm finding on the doorstep that people recognise me and recognise the record. And really, that's what people are going to judge me on, the record.
And in the meantime, you're just going to carry on until tomorrow night?
Yeah, as Winston Churchill used to say, KBO, which means keep buggering on. That's what I'm thinking.
Right, well, best of luck with it all. Thank you for talking.
I'm Mark Cullinan, Acting Returning Officer for the Lancaster and Fleetwood Parliamentary Constituency, declare that the total number of votes given to each candidate was as follows. Jeremy Matthew Atkins, UK Independence Party, 4,060. Chris Coates, Green Party, 2,093. Harold Daniel Hope Elliotson, 174. Robin Long, Liberal Democrats, 1,390. Eric Olrenshaw, the Conservative Party candidate, 16,378. Catherine Jane Smith, Labour Party, 17,600. Lancaster and Fleetwood constituency.
I'm now joined by Kat Smith, the victorious Labour candidate for Lancaster and Fleetwood. How does it feel to have won the election, Kat?
Right now, the feeling that I have is exhaustion. All candidates, regardless of whether or not they win or lose, basically stay awake for 2 days. That's my overwhelming feeling. However, obviously I'm delighted to be elected as the local Member of Parliament.
And you're following, obviously, Conservative MP Eric Olenshaw. What do you feel will be the legacy of your Labour's victory here taking forwards over the next 5 years?
I think one of the things that is really important for me to do is to represent people. I've always said I want to be an accessible and visible MP locally, representing the views that we hear, which is how I ran my campaign the last 2 years. I've spoken to thousands, probably tens of thousands of people, finding out about the issues that matter and campaigning on them. And that's how I plan to go forward, to be a voice for the people.
And the student population is obviously very large in this constituency. How important a part was engaging with students in your campaign?
Hugely. I'm a graduate of Lancaster University myself, although when I go up on campus now it's completely changed to how it was. It's a great asset to the city and students play an absolutely vital role in the local community. There are many things that we have in Lancaster which wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the students. I absolutely value the student population but want to make sure they're protected on things like housing. One of the issues that's been raised is about the lack of regulation of private landlords in the city. That's the kind of thing I want to look into and find local solutions for.
And other than going to bed, what are you most looking forward to now you've been elected?
After going to bed, I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is a proper meal again and not just snacking on the go.
And what will be the thing you're most looking forward to in getting into the politics of the local area as the MP?
Many of these things are things I'm doing already. So it is about going out there and speaking to people. I feel for a long time we've not had a proper voice for the community, and that's what I want to be.
Thank you very much, Kat.
Thank you.
I, Mark Cullinan, Acting Returning Officer for the Morecambe and Lunesdale Parliamentary Constituency, declare that the total number of votes given to each candidate was as follows. Phil Chandler, Green Party, 1,395. Michael Liam Thomas Dawson, 85. Amina Lone, Labour Party, 15,101. David Thomas Morris, Conservative Party candidate, 19,691. UK Independence Party, 5,358. Matthew James Seven, Liberal Democrats, 1,612. Therefore, I give public notice that David Thomas Morris is duly elected as the Member of Parliament for the Morecambe and Lunesdale constituency.
I'm joined by David Morris, the victorious Conservative candidate for Morecambe and Lunesdale. You've just been returned for your second term as a Member of Parliament. How does it feel to have won your election?
It feels as good as it did the first time. In fact, it feels better because this time I'm going forward on the mandate, not of change but progress. And the good people of Morecambe and Lunesdale have seen fit to give me that opportunity and entrust their faith in me for the next 5 years to deliver further investment, jobs and prosperity into the area.
You mentioned when you were on the stage there that you had increased your majority substantially.
Yes.
And how do you believe in the local area your impact has delivered that?
Well, when I first came to Morecambe and Lunesdale, I looked around and decided it needed a few changes, and these changes were substantial, cost literally billions. In the first 5 years I've secured £1 billion worth of investments into the area. The M6 Heysham Link Road, for instance, for every £1 that's spent on that link road building it, £10 will come into the local economy within the next 12 months of it opening, which again equates to another £1.5 billion worth of investment. So, you know, it can only go forward and on the up for the area.
Now, you've had a mandate for 5 years here. What is your next? You've mentioned the Link Road as one of your big projects. What is your next big thing for Morecambe and Lunesdale?
Well, my next big project for Morecambe and Lunesdale is I'm going to be having meetings, to carry on having meetings as I did when I was a Member of Parliament before Purda, and now I'm back as a Member of Parliament, with the Department of Transport and the Treasury, and see where we can take this idea of a tunnel under the bay. The Prime Minister recently announced at the M6 Link Road that we will be looking at, in the next Parliament, the feasibility into a tunnel under Morecambe Bay. And I do believe it links up with the Chancellor's vision of the Northern Powerhouse. I do believe it can be done. I'm absolutely certain that one day it will be done, and the only way we're going to get it is by now start working towards that goal.
The results of this election are very different to the results of the last election. It looks like the Conservative Party may get that majority. However, in the local area, it's now no longer a Conservative MP for Lancaster and Fleetwood. How is this going to affect your plans and the region as a whole?
I don't think it will. Obviously, Cat Smith, and congratulations to her. I've not seen her to speak to as yet. She will be, looking after her constituents, I'm sure, admirably well in Lancaster over the next 5 years, as I will be in Morecambe and Lunesdale. And, contrary to popular belief, when you're in opposition politics, you don't disagree on everything. I think we would have a lot of common ground where we can actually work together, and I'm sure that together we can make a lot of progress.
If the Conservatives manage to get a majority government, how will that affect your plans for the local area?
I think it would really accelerate and be a catalyst for the local area, because we would be in government and I will be able to apply for the tranches of funding that I know is coming up. And who knows, in the previous government I was the first ever small self-employment ambassador to the Prime Minister, which was in effect a minister without portfolio, to report back to the Prime Minister on ideas of increasing our productivity in self-employment. If I get promoted, that can only be good for Morecambe and Lunesdale, as whatever department it puts me in, I can get the first dibs on any funding going. I'm unashamed in saying that. I'm looking after my constituents first.
Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Well, it's been an incredibly long night here at Saltaire Sports Centre, hasn't it, Chris?
Yes, it's been such a long night. We've been here for far more hours than I care to think about now, but we've had two fantastic election results.
Yes, we have. We've got David Morris for Morecambe and Lunesdale.
And Cat Smith for Lancaster and Fleetwood.
Now, it looks like it's time to pack away and go home and let the MPs get on with their business.
Yep, the results are still coming in for the national election. It looks like the Conservatives at this point are just about going to scrape through to a majority government. So much for the Sun's predictions of a hung parliament there.
Well, it still remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Yep, the results will still be coming in throughout the day, with the latest ones not expected until mid-afternoon.
No. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.